This is Marvel Movie Talk on Geekscape. Very excited to be back with each and every one of you. We're finally going to close the book on Ironheart, season 1, maybe the whole series. We always have to say that with all of these Marvel shows. They could surprise us. They could give us more. And I think most of you out there would like more, but maybe we'll just see her on the big screen. We'll have to see. As always, I am Christian Bladt. And as usual with me, El Sassy Pants herself, the Katie Hampton with her Agatha Harkness.
Thank you, Eric Conner.
Thank you to Eric Conner, who is fashionably tardy, as he always is. But right on time, our friend Gina Ippolito from New Rockstars. And there's like a 90s indie record label called Kill Rock Stars. And I always have to make sure I don't credit you as to being a recording artist with Kill Rock Stars. Instead, you're with New Rock Stars. Unless you put out some demos in '95 that I don't remember.
Listen, I wear a lot of hats. I can't remember all of them. So who knows what I was doing in the 90s?
Who remembers who they killed?
Exactly.
Yo, remember the 90s. That's what I have to say. In any case, Gina, you weren't with us when we talked about the first 3. So while we wait for the boys to finish all of their boy things and join us, give us your thoughts on the first 3 episodes. Sort of quickly. I don't want you to just an overall. I'm not. There's no question and answer, no true false. Just a general feel about the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought they came out of the gate swinging. I like that it was, a kind of self-contained. First 3 episodes where, like, even if you hadn't seen any of the Black Panther movies, anything else, you could have, you could still get what was going on, and it sort of felt like a return to sort of street level stuff. To me, it almost felt like what maybe Daredevil Born Again was going for, where they were street level thing, emotional core, not all of these, you don't need to know 8,000 characters and which alien race is coming down when.
Gina, let me see if I can summarize it into this sentence. They were trying to get as far away from Secret Invasion as possible. Is that pretty close to what you're trying to say?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Well, someone who never wants to get removed from Secret Invasion, our friend David Brody. Thank you for being here, David. And
I apologize. I had to build my home studio out of my Dodge Charger, and it took me an hour. So sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late.
That's interesting because I built my home studio out of a lime green Pinto, and yes, that's for you. And it took me 4 days. Nice. Also with us, our friend Eric Conner. Great to see you both. So Katie's still like, thank you for the gift.
I need to give him his gift. I have a Hit Monkey thing for him.
Yes.
Oh, we did love Hit Monkey, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were the 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably true. So I do want to put the little warning up here because, the internet does a great job of spoiling things, but just in case people have managed to avoid some stuff, I want to make sure that we don't cause that. We don't say one magic word and then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, they would probably say, gosh darn it, I can't believe that happened. So in any case, let's start with the second half of the season. Our previous episode was the first half. And Katie, where we were left off was, Riri did a bad thing. And things looked like they were going sideways. And they really didn't they, throughout the second half of the season?
They really did, and I'm curious to know everybody's thoughts on the ending and all of that. But starting from the beginning of fourth episode, I love that Zelma came in. Oh, I was so excited, and what a fun character! Holy shit, she was so great, and I'm so excited to see more from her because she was so. She was adorable, and the magic she's using, I'm so curious about what kind of magic. Is she attached to Doctor Strange yet? Is she not? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you sound like the front page of the Hollywood Reporter. Is she attached to Doctor Strange? Has she been ankled by Discovery? All these things I don't know, But someone who's never been ankled by anyone is Eric Conner. So we kind of dive into this second batch. And were you ready for all of the emotions you would feel, Eric?
Well, first, I do have to call attention to my shirt of choice in honor of the meal of choice for the hood, a pork product.
I literally just now remembered I was going to wear a White Castle shirt that I have. And, I went for Iron Man instead. And that's a problem with having watched the show more than a week ago. I completely forgot I was going to wear a White Castle shirt.
I mean, listen, to have the title as a charcuterie, I thought was a very special moment. I felt very seen in my love of all things cheese and pork products that I'm allowed to have as side items, not main items, of course, as a Jew. Hello there.
Yes, and Nate is with us now, and I like when there's 6 of us and a warning on the screen because we're all like postage stamp sized. Which, apologies to the ladies, but I've been told that I look best as a postage stamp size. But anything bigger than that, I frighten children.
Well, that's just so people can lick your backside.
Man, you dive right into it, don't you, bro?
All right.
He's really hoping for that bell ring.
Not me personally. No, I don't, Christian.
Well, you know what? He got it.
There it
Well, for that, Brody, your thoughts as we dove into the second half of this season series.
Disclaimer: I signed up for this podcast so I could be reminded what happened in the episodes.
Okay, good.
I'll forward you the screen grabs. I
thought it was easier. It was an easier recap to just sit here and listen.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for, Brody.
Yeah. Listen, the second half was better than the first half. Obviously the big reveal at the end, the last season episode and a half was tremendous, although an unusual place for that reveal of such a big character.
Yeah, it should have been in White Castle. I agree.
Yeah. White Castle. Do you have the White Castle photo I sent you?
I'll have to look for it. I don't know when you sent. Oh, you sent it to me a long time ago. That's right.
That was a private
like
photo.
when the show aired.
When we watched when we watched the show during the Taft administration. Yes. I'll get to it. I had forgotten you'd sent that to me. That's on me.
Did you shake it so it developed?
Yes. Right. Exactly.
Not a problem. I thought the fight scenes were fairly good, although how she held her own at the White Castle against 2 trained ninja warriors. The choreography in that scene was like, oh, there's a weapon. I'll turn. Oh, there's a fire extinguisher. I'll turn. There's a thing I need to grab. So it was all, perfectly choreographed for the fight. She's not a fighter. She really shouldn't have been able to hold her own against those people. And then in typical bad guy fashion, you've got the Wonder Twins attack her first. And then once they're taken out of the way, then the explosion girl, what's her name? Pyro, whatever her name is.
Clown.
Then she comes in because they couldn't all attack her at the same time.
Can't be Pyro.
Clown, right?
Not before the Fox merger, so you had to stay away from the name Pyro. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. Clown. The reason I sent this picture is if you look at the White Castle sign, you can't see it. Can you go full screen on it or side screen?
I mean, I can do that.
The only letters spell ouch, which I thought was, I don't know if that's an Easter egg.
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an Easter egg or not, but I just got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
That says ouch.
It does
they haven't explained how they found her at White Castle other than homegirl likes White Castle. I mean, she didn't have a tracking device. There was no explanation how they all just showed up at White Castle.
I mean, I think
I'm looking for plot holes.
I think they knew how to find her tech.
There's an extended scene where they're watching Harold and Kumar, and that's the light bulb moment.
Yeah, but her tech was at the library, sulking, getting captured. So I haven't. Anyway,
well,
that scene was a bit whatever. But overall, I thought the second half was better than the first half. If we're not getting too specific and granular, I enjoyed the second half more than the first half.
I want to talk about
I thought
4 and 5.
Han Solo was decent.
Yeah, Han Solo, I thought did some nice work.
I thought Han Solo was good. So
yeah, I'm actually not sure why. When Eric, you sent me your pictures, why is this one sideways?
That's how it was. That was actually right from the screen.
The frame.
Oh, okay.
Remember, his life is going out of control.
Oh, and that's why it's sideways. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said, you can check the timestamp from when I watched this, and it does have the letters BC after it, so it's been a minute. Nate, I wanted to get your thoughts on the second half of the season, because obviously you were with us when we talked about the first half, and we were sort of left with, well, she's done some bad things. Let's see how she gets out of this. What did you think of sort of overall episodes 4 through 6?
That's a great question.
Well,
Can you
because
feel
I
the-
asked it, it's automatically a
Yeah,
great
of course.
question.
Can you
Yeah,
feel the
only
love
ask great
tonight?
Yeah.
questions. I don't know. Like, it was okay. It's if I don't want to like say bad things about it because a lot of people are saying bad things about it for not good reasons. But like, it's not bad. It just kind of is. Like, I thought the main girl's performance was good. I thought yeah, like Han Solo was good. But like, I don't particularly find myself like any story hooks that like I'm like, wow, that was really cool. I can't wait to see what happens next. I found the ending to be kind of disappointing and unearned. I thought like some of the action scenes were good, like the last one with Cloak and Ironheart was cool, but like you said, like the White Castle thing, it just made no sense. Like that whole episode made no sense. Like, how did they find the suit? Also, it just takes a giant magnet to take the suit down. Like, why don't we just carry magnets around? Like, there was
I mean,
just a lot of
You
things
can't
that just
get
didn't
magnets
feel.
wet. That's the problem.
Yeah.
This is I'm coming out of the gate swinging, because to me so far this sort of reeks of Mary Sueism in here, with all these dudes talking about how like, how
Sure.
did she fight this person? Like, how many times have you seen a dude in a Marvel movie like fight
Right,
a person?
but-
Her whole thing is that she's supposed to be smarter than everyone. So it's not that she's a better fighter, it's that she sees opportunities when they arise. Like
Sure.
it's just you
Sure.
know.
I'm not as much
Are you
worried about
woman-splaining
her.
us?
I am absolutely woman-splaining you.
Hell
And
yeah.
Well-
you need it a little bit more often.
Well, no,
Somebody has
Bill,
to.
because Nate was the one who made the point. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, my thing with the White Castle is not. I do feel a bit away about the people who are on the team because they're hand-to-hand combat specialists fighting so poorly. And I think
Yeah,
there
that's
is definitely a way that it could have been portrayed of where they're fighting really hard and she's using her smarts to kind of outwit them. But that's not what it felt like. It felt like they were just kind of swinging at the air and she was scrambling around. And yeah, she figured some things out, but it didn't feel like she really had to like use her wits against Brawn, which is kind of like what those people are on the team for.
Not to mention,
so I
she took
think
a
that-
lot of hits, and I don't care how
He took a
smart
lot
you
of
are,
hits.
she took those kind of hits, no matter how great your SAT scores were, you're
Right.
gonna like be on the
Yeah.
ground, like wheezing and
Yes.
bleeding.
Wait, I'm sorry,
and
Eric. Eric, just for a quick question, what is the Marvel concussion protocol? Is she supposed to sit out the second half of the season because she had a head injury? I don't actually know how it works. What were you going to say,
no one
Katie?
checked your pupils.
I was just gonna say that I love that we had the callback of the click it type of shield thing bubble. I love
that was
that. I mean, it's part of her tech. It's something that she created for somebody else in MIT, and then it comes back in like the second half of this whole series. I thought that was a great callback, and a perfect reason for why she could take on two of these bruisers at once. Is to
right,
get...
but that. I think it's a perfect reason for how she can defeat the Bruisers. My issue with the Bruisers is how that fight starts. They're just standing there, and then they just like swing in the air. Like I think the way that they solved it with her having the callback to the tech that she made, I thought that was brilliant. I even thought the thing with the bomb girl of her like manufacturing a cannon, I thought that was really cool. I want to see more like that. I just think that the overall pacing of that fight scene, the like gratuitous White Castle placements and like the logo is like always visible in like half the shots. There's just parts of it that just didn't, again, like it's hard to say that I think it's mid because like just okay is like not a thing anymore. Everything has to be like really good or really bad. And I don't think it was really bad.
Yeah.
I just don't particularly think it was really good. Like I want to see more of Riri. I'm a little disappointed in the ending. Like it feels kind of like the character didn't get growth. Like I wanted the character, I wanted her at the end to go, no, I'm actually going to accept the loss of my friend and move on with my life and like, you know, deal with these emotions. Instead, she's like, oh yeah, another Band-Aid solution. Yeah, let me just take that. Let me
But
let
do
me
we
do
know
the
that?
same
Isn't
thing.
that, but also like, again, isn't that like, couldn't you say the same thing about like Tony Stark from one movie to the next? Like I like my issue with all of this is, and also there's like like only dudes in the chat, and there's like they're just like, yeah, this show sucks. So like, I get it. Dudes don't like the show. Okay, fine. Like whatever.
Okay, but I think I think that's a generalization that doesn't accurately portray what I'm trying to say. Like
no, I'm going to respond to what you're saying.
Okay.
Like there are tons of characters in the MCU that show no growth from one 2-hour movie to the next. I mean, but the thing is,
I think my point is that
they're all motivated.
We haven't met
I'm just
before.
gonna keep talking.
Okay,
because,
but I was like, you're
Okay.
responding to me.
Well, no,
and
let's okay, Gina, finish your thought, and then we'll absolutely
you.
let Nate speak.
I appreciate it. The thing is, like, could you see why they made those decisions? Do you see why Tony Stark wants to build a suit of armor around the world? Do you see from one movie to the next why he's still egotistical, even though in the first movie he learned the lesson that he's supplying weapons around the world and that is not a good thing? It's different shades of the same personality. This is a young woman who's playing like 19 or 20 years old on a show. So to expect her to, by the end of having seen her friend now, lost her friend twice because she took that second loss just as hard, and say, oh, this isn't showing character growth because she made the decision that's sort of morally gray, I think misses the point.
So Nate, I want to give you all the time you need to respond to that and what you were saying earlier.
Sure. I mean, I just want to say that I mean, we have not met before. We have not talked about Marvel movies before. I think most of the other people on this panel would tell you that I have many criticisms about lots of the Marvel movies.
Not just Secret Invasion. It's true.
And of the people in this panel, he's criticized all of us a lot too.
Tony Stark specifically is a character that I think has not been used very well within the MCU and is exactly emblematic of the problem I'm talking about, of a character kind of repeating the same story arc and growth point kind of over and over again. So I think I definitely understand, like, to me, it did not feel at the end of the show, as someone who tries to be sympathetic with characters, I did not feel like, okay, I can understand how she's kind of getting manipulated and tricked into this deal. To me, it felt, I mean, maybe that's just because as the viewer, we know more about like Mephisto's deal specifically and with Cloak and all of that stuff. But it felt to me that like we already got her choosing to kind of take a darker path in order to survive and get what she needs at the start of the show. That's why she joined the gang and started doing crime and doing bad stuff and causing people to get killed, right? And then now for us to get to the end of the show, and for the person who is behind the power of the bad guy that she just beat to be like, hey, I'm going to offer you a deal that is, you know, it obviously very different and way more dripping in manipulation and power to tempt, right, than Cloak's offer. But to me, it just felt very similar of like, okay, well, we're right back now where the show started, of where you have made a deal with bad people to do some bad things so that you can get some of the things that you need. But maybe morally, you're going to have like a quandary about it. Like, to me, that's where, when we ended the show with her taking the deal, that I was like, really? That's what we're doing? We're introducing Ironheart?
Well, that was actually what I wanted to pitch to everybody. So Katie, you're the one who brought it up. So we don't see her actually taking it. The fact that Natalie shows up at the end as an actual person indicates that she might have. However, there's a theory that I have, which is that perhaps if she didn't take the deal, then it's like, well, look, here's Natalie. See, this is what I can do. But you brought it up, Katie, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I freaking loved Mephisto coming in just to begin with. Sacha Baron Cohen really crushed it on this role, and it was great to finally get him in the MCU.
Yeah,
it's really exciting.
It's my second favorite character he's played. You know, he's no Borat, but it's still pretty good.
But I also I think also when we look at how he's doing his deals and how he changes his accent, also seems to key in with Riri. Like, there's so many times. I mean, we all caught the Get Out moment where he was twirling the spoon in the cup and whatnot. But like, there was something so poignant about her look that it felt like, oh, maybe she did learn something. Maybe she did learn that like she can actually do something on her own, or like she can get help with Selma. And like, I don't know what it is. I think it was intentionally left off of the screen so that we could have these debates on what she actually said yes or no to Mephisto.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that there's something else going on and she didn't take the deal. I just interpreted it as with Natalie coming back being alive that she took the deal. I mean, we'll just have to see.
Well, Brody, it seems like you want to say something about
I think you have to watch sorry.
Go ahead.
The last scene of the show when she hugs Natalie, her arm starts doing the thing that the hood, by the way, it's the hood, not the cloak. I think that's what you're referring to. When the hood, it's okay. When the hood was
also a Marvel character cloak. So
yeah, well, I'd love Dagger to show up in the Dagger outfit with the low cut. Yeah, okay.
Okay. She's 15,
her arm veins started doing the. No, not now. That was 20 years ago when I was 15.
Oh my God, stop.
But now she's older. I'm sure of it.
All right, technically it was 45 years ago. So anyway,
now it's only mid creepy.
It was 40 years ago when I was her age. I had a crush on her. So in my mind, she's my age. Anyway, Riri's arm did the thing, the Mephisto thing, and she definitely took the deal. So.
Well, but in that case, then it's more about like how she keeps winding up in these situations by not facing her past or not facing her grief or not facing the actual situation at hand.
Here's my take on the ending to Nate's point and Gina's point. The difference with Tony Stark, in my mind, is he was a douche. Then he was in the cave and he was heroic and compassionate. And although Civil War, he was a douche again. There are a lot more redeeming qualities in Tony Stark. Also, his character is going to go on and have another movie where he might redeem himself. Knowing that Riri may never show up in the MCU again, or sporadically at best, she's not getting a season 2. I wanted that arc to be quick. I wanted her to learn something. So while I understand from a plot perspective, it's in character to do that and to take the deal. It makes sense. It wasn't rewarding for me. I like a happy ending. In a movie,
I'm actually going to talk about something I didn't expect to bring up here. I will make the point that Tony Stark doesn't have as much growth as we think, because obviously to undo the snap, the best thing would have been to go back to that moment. And he's like, nope, we're going to have to do it now because I have a kid now. And I don't, so it's like, all right, so all the millions of lives that were impacted, we have to do it now. So, there's, and if you want to believe the bullshit time travel of Endgame, they could have done it however they wanted to, because it's made up science. I want to let everybody, finish their thoughts they have. I do want to bring in chats from a woman in our chat, so I think that's important. Our friend Kame Egan, checking in from Chicagoland. Yeah. Overall, I thought the show was just okay. I'd want a show about her dropout magic friend. But this is actually my favorite comment from Kame Egan. I've seen better actual fights in White Castle than on this show.
Yeah, well,
hard to disagree with that.
Christian, I was going to say playing the role of Waffle House.
You're talking about my two favorite restaurants, so it's really
I love that you call them restaurants.
Yeah, fine dining establishment.
Yeah.
Get that
That's like saying Secret Invasion was a secret. It was not.
Look, my wife gets to go to one for Valentine's Day and one for her birthday, and and Cracker Barrel on her anniversary. What?
Oh.
Hey, big spender.
Anyway, I wanted to just bring those in because I've had those comments for a while. Gina, I felt like you were about to say something, but I wanted our chat to feel heard. So.
Oh yeah, I just think I think that if she had learned that lesson by the end, I think that there would be just as many people online saying this switch did not feel earned. It happened too fast. This whole thing takes place in a matter of days. Like we've all seen people in TV shows make a turn, and then people being like, this is not motivated. I mean, look at like Game of Thrones or something. It's like, oh, like all of a sudden she's a crazy, like angry chick. Like this isn't motivated. And so I think everyone is trying to get through to her, but she has too much trauma in her life and around the event that and honestly, like I was on the edge of my seat during that Mephisto scene, because they purposely don't show her shake his hand. They purposely don't show her eat anything. And those are the two, historically speaking. I mean, anytime you have sort of a deal with the devil and you eat the food of the underworld, that's sort of the binding contract. That's part of the binding contract. So they edited it. Exactly. We eat this deep dish pizza, Persephone, and then we get winter for 3 months.
Well,
I gotta say,
Katie, absolutely jump in. I just want to point out that when I met with the devil, we did it at a Golden Corral. So
that's why you don't eat there.
Another fine dining
buffet, man.
Go ahead, Katie.
I was just gonna say
I was
that
in
if
his
the
chonies when it
devil
happened. So
nice. If I was in front of the devil and he offered me pizza, like there's not really one person that offers me pizza that I won't take it from, and especially I will have to say that Anthony Ramos got better looking pizza than Riri was presented with. He got the pepperonis that curl up, and she got like I don't know, sausages or
a real
something.
connoisseur right there.
I'm telling you, I was really
Detroit
studying
style,
the pizza.
I would say. I don't think she got Chicago style. I think that might have been a Detroit style.
Well,
yeah,
obviously,
but
if they
Mephisto
were
had different pizza than she did.
Well, obviously, if
They
they
also had
were in
different
Southern
accents.
California, there's only one pizza place they can go
Oh,
to, and
yeah.
that is Lucifer's Pizza on Magnolia here in Burbank.
By the way,
I ring that bell, but my dog ate it.
the pizza of choice of every writer's room that has to stay late to work on an episode
Yes.
is Lucifer's Pizza.
I wanted to circle back to Nate for a second because I think a lot of us have. We found ourselves in situations where we don't like a show or a movie, not for the reasons that people that we wouldn't enjoy talking to on the internet. So the perfect example for me is Star Wars: The Acolyte. I thought it was one of the worst shows I'd ever seen. It had nothing to do with the fact that it was, the woke Star Wars, that it was female led. I just thought the story was bad. I thought that Jedi Squid Game, I was like, man, I expected more out of Jedi Squid Game, it's one of those things. It's like, it's tough sometimes to say like, oh, I don't like this. And you're not even saying that. You're just saying, I don't love it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that it can be hard to love, I mean, I think we have different opinions on this panel on Echo, and a lot of the shows that we've had recently, but I'm sorry, go ahead, Nate.
Well, I do think that is like the important thing to note is that not everything has to be for everybody. And I think that's an issue that Marvel has made in the past. And so I'm happy to see that they are kind of able to produce some content that it's able to choose a direction it wants to go in and go in that direction and commit instead of like splitting hairs. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, like I liked the show, I enjoyed it. I would tell people to watch it, but I'm not like, it's not anywhere near my top list of Marvel shows. It's not near the bottom. It's very solidly in the middle. There's good characters. I thought some of the CG was really good. I thought all of the Zelma stuff, the magic stuff was really cool. I want to see more of that. But just in the end of like, I don't know, like I watched the episodes last week and then we were talking about it today and I'm like skimming through recaps trying to like remember what happened, and I just don't feel any type of like, man, I really want to see what happens next. I'm just kind of like, okay, if Riri shows up in something, I'll be like, I like the actress, I like the character, I'll see what's happening with it, I'll probably watch it, but I'm just not like, I don't know, I think I wanted to like this show more. And also too, speaking on something that I'm assuming hasn't really been talked about, there's a distinct level of blackness in the show and like Black culture, and I think part of at least some of the people I have talked to about the end, it like obviously she doesn't know that he's the devil, but she has some type of idea that there's something going on, and like Black people do not mess with that stuff. Like the whole thing with the magic shop with her mom being like, I thought we were just going to get like crystals or something, and then like I thought that was really cool. I'm glad we got some Black characters in there doing magic. That's awesome. But the way that like her mom reacted when she saw the symbol and was like, no, we're not going to say the name, we're not talking about it anymore, you guys got to go, like I think for me I was just like, no, don't take the deal. That's the devil. We don't take deals with the devil. So I think that maybe had some like personal frustration to it. But yeah, ultimately, like I do very decisively and full-fistedly want to say like I have no problems with the casting. I'm happy to see a Black female lead. I'm happy. Like I thought all of that stuff was great. Any criticisms of that stuff is like, that's stupid. That's and I'm happy to have more female superheroes, especially ones that are like, that have comic history, that have some cool things that they could do. Like I want them to develop more of this stuff. I'm really hoping we get, like, she ties into their Young Avengers Champions team whenever they do something like that. I think she'd be a great mix on like a team dynamic.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, the characters we think of when it comes to that so far, Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, and Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. And, you definitely want to, just round it out with some of the characters that we keep expecting to show up. But, look, the phases aren't moving as fast as Feige wanted them to, I guess. But yeah, I fully expect that, we'll see her in that capacity. Is Armor Wars still a thing? That
got
so
canceled.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's always alive in my heart.
Okay.
All that matters.
As did the Doctor Strange show that they were clearly leading up to that isn't going to happen. The Strange Academy show.
Strange Academy, yeah.
I thought that is still going to happen.
It's indefinitely. We don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
They haven't announced. It was that, along with like another show, they sort of put indefinitely on hold. But.
Nova.
And Blade was going to be a teacher there, I heard. So it's really...
Yeah, the next thing you're going to do is tell me that Blade's not happening, Gina. Come on. Am I supposed to believe all this stuff?
Maybe live long enough to see Blade.
Blade got cut. That's the headline.
Yeah, like Daniel said, this is the last part of Phase 5 too. And I think that's why also maybe I was expecting a little more of the ending, but that's probably on me for expecting too much.
I don't know. I have
the ending. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, Eric, go ahead.
Okay. One thing I was going to say, something really cool about that end though is like it never dawned on me, even though Riri did some not great decision making those first couple episodes, making a deal with the devil. We've all been there at some point or another, usually at a Waffle House. But
it was a Ponderosa. I'm sorry.
Oh, right. Or Ground Round for those from the East Coast.
All right, let's get back to your point. We can do this part all day.
But that idea at the end that she is now maybe doing Mephisto's bidding, I'm up for that. Like this notion of Riri suddenly doing that heel turn, I'm like, okay, like that was, for whatever it's worth it. I put this maybe a little higher than middle in terms of my own rankings of the Marvel TV shows. But I think that ending, though, I was like, that was the most exciting ending I remember from any of these shows. That idea of like, oh, shit. Like,
well, that was something that we talked about last week.
That's
was
exciting.
The idea that she would be possibly partnering up with the Hood. And instead, she skipped middle management and she went right up to the boss.
Right.
So... I think that idea, and look, I feel like that's a story that has to play out. I think that the way that this show was released, there was maybe the feeling that, they wouldn't do any more episodes of this. I think they could wrap the story into a movie. Obviously, the fact that you have Mephisto in here, but I think that is not a short story to tell in her getting a few minutes here and there in a film. So yeah, I would like to see at some point she realizes what she's doing and who she's doing it for. It was just you sitting down with a guy who kind of looks like Freddie Mercury, not as much as Rami Malek, but he kind of acts, a little bit differently. So, I would like to see more. I just wonder what it is at this point.
I would love an Agents of Mephisto show in there,
dude. That would be great.
Yeah. That would be so killer.
Starring Ringo Starr.
I have to say though, like the thing that I love the most about the last episode, I didn't think we were going to get that much Mephisto. Like the fact that we had a full story arc across the entire episode and like a little bit in the second to last. Oh, that was so like it was just num. Let me have more. It was just Sacha Baron Cohen just did an amazing job doing this. The fact that he was weaving in and out of different styles of character in who he was talking with, and all of the stuff of just like him avoiding mirrors and all this stuff, and the laugh when he was like called Dormammu, one of the most creepiest demonic
teeth.
disgusting, and I loved it. But yeah, no, I remember Nate and I, we were both saying that like we'll probably get a flash of Mephisto in the very last scene of the very last episode, and that's all we'll get.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll see him in a movie or something like that. But the fact that we got like a full episode and seeing how he deals with people and how he makes these deals and how he makes it so tempting to so many desperate, sad fucking people who are
He's also like just charming enough too that I was like, like what's he offering me? Like I'm taking that deal. Like this is charming dude that's like giving me pizza and is charming the pants out of me. Yeah.
I wouldn't ask what the other what the thing is like something I'm not going to miss. Something I'm not going to miss. Great. Where do I sign? But Nate, it was sort of like what you guys were talking about last week. I thought it would be like sort of the old Nick Fury cameos where he comes in and it's like, well, if it isn't Tony Stark, you know, and like we'd get him for, but it's like when he shows up in the beginning of the episode, not the very beginning, but you know what I've seen. So were you surprised at how much Mephisto we got, Nate? And the fact that usually the bigger names are reserved for the movies and not these Disney Plus shows?
I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting to get that much of him. I'm not the biggest Sacha Baron Cohen fan, so I'm probably not the one to ask.
Were you a financier on The Dictator and you lost too much money?
Yeah, it's a little more principled of a stance than that. But
well,
I think
I can imagine what it is, and look, even whatever the reason is, it's fine, you know. But
I definitely was not expecting to get that much of him. I do think it's cool that we got to see a little bit of kind of like the Hood's, commencement, the receiving of the Hood, so to speak. It was cool to get like a little bit more of a backstory of him. And I do want to say too, I definitely came more around to his performance in the last 3 episodes than the first 3. The first 3 felt a little kind of hammy, and in the last 3, I definitely felt more kind of like what felt like real intensity from him. So I thought that was really cool. But Mephisto is a character that in the comics I have kind of never really been a fan of. I find him to be a little one note, and he usually is just like this thing where it's like, here, I'll give you some power and you do some bad stuff, and there's not usually like a big overarching like, here's my plan, here's my goal. Like, you know, Thanos has the love for death, and so he wants to balance the universe, and in the comics he wants to form this relationship with death, and like it creates this mythos around him. And Mephisto has always, to me, kind of felt like just like a generic, like, oh, we want a character to make a deal with the devil, and then they're just like, boom, Mephisto, and they stick him in there. So I really want to see if he's going to be this next phase, kind of like the guy's like pulling the strings, like what is the plan? What is the, outside of him just like collecting souls? Okay, that's what the devil does, but for what? What is the goal? Or is he trying to break into Earth or something? Is he just collecting souls like a dragon, like with a hoard of gold? Like I want to know what the, you know, beyond the just like, hey, I'm here, I offer deals of power to people and then I take their soul. Like I just want to know like what's the end game, you know, for lack of a better term, of like the plan for that.
You're making me realize that I probably should have asked the devil what he wants to do with my soul. I just figured like, you know, he
all right. Everyone's like, sure. I will.
By the way, Daniel Drew, I'm going to admit I did not notice this. Did you see the reflection of proper Mephisto in the spoon? So that's
Christian. You got to watch.
Katie Hampton, how did you get on the screen? I will find. Yep, that's your other picture.
Yep.
All right. Well, now I've got.
I literally jumped out of my seat when he pulled the spoon out. I was just like, ah! That
also
so
they
creepy.
like. So sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also I love that they laid it in earlier when he like Anthony Ramos puts on the hood, but they're like both staring forward, but there's no mirror there.
Yeah.
Like if you notice and go back and look at that scene, they're just like looking as if there's a mirror there, but when the shot reverses, there's not a mirror. So because obviously Mephisto there can't be mirrors around, so they cleverly like sort of cover up all the mirrors that would be in a normal pizza place.
Yeah.
So if you look at the picture,
thank you. Okay.
Mephisto is facing the 2 on the clock. He's at an angle.
Yes. You got to enhance a little bit.
Yeah, well,
enhance. Yeah,
computer enhance.
Yeah, the CSI Crime Lab is off today. They took a long week for 4th of July, so I can't enhance anything.
If you look real close, you can see a
about how
license
big
plate.
TV is.
Okay, you guys spoke at exactly the same time. So, Eric,
Sorry.
what were you saying?
I was just saying, Katie was just shaming us because her TV is bigger than all of ours. Well,
We
together.
Right.
clearly not.
The one
What
that
were you
you-
going to say? What were you going to say, Brody?
I said if you enhance enough, you can see his license plate. So
No, I don't want to dox the devil. I'm
Just 666. It's
That,
fine.
that would be immoral. Doxing
Look,
the devil.
Listen,
You know,
YouTube is
New
very
Jersey
particular
plate.
about that. We shouldn't dox anyone, even the devil.
He's a Jersey
so-
devil.
I do have a question for Gina. If I could do a little inside baseball real quick.
Oh yeah, please.
Sure,
please.
go ahead.
Gina, is there anyone more excited about Mephisto appearing than your coworker Eric?
I mean, I will admit that when we got those screeners early, our editor scrubbed through to be like, just scrub through all 6 episodes to basically be like, is this our moment? Is this new Rockstar's
it?
moment?
Yeah, for those of
But
you
he
who
has
don't know
to
what I'm
come up with
talking about.
another insane theory now for the next 7 years.
Her coworker Eric at New Rockstars predicted Mephisto in every single Marvel show up until this point. He was convinced. He had theories that he's like, that. See that car? That's red. Mephisto's coming.
He's not alone in that. I mean, we got to that on
We've
this.
all been
We
talking
stopped.
Mephisto.
We stopped saying Mephisto because
Right.
Yes,
there were so
yes,
many
we did.
times. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Mephisto is gonna, be.
I
in
mean,
Hawkeye.
we got a name call out on Agatha, and
That is true.
I went crazy. I was just like, I don't know, like I don't maybe you know the show, but it feels like a bright moment. It was exciting, and I think the buildup of it, though, may not be like what everybody was super excited about. I thought it was paid off fairly well in the show.
I wish you guys could
Yeah,
have seen this with my wife because she sat down just to watch episode 6 with me and was so confused.
Wow.
And then it's like, what? Why is Borat there? And then I'm
Very
trying
nice.
to Mephisto, and she was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And then she was out. And then she watched the new Lena Dunham show. Speaking of unfortunately internet trolls coming out in full force. Poor Lena Dunham, man, she deserves so much better than the internet.
Does she? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know about that one, man.
I'm glad that Gina said what I was thinking.
I think sometime,
I'm not a Lena Dunham fan, and she's done a lot of problematic shit. So
It would be bad
sometime there
optics
are
for me to have been the
consequences,
one to
Derek.
say that.
Go to
so
Reddit,
thank you.
you'll love the
But I
read.
do.
Go ahead.
I
go
do-
ahead, Nate.
To agree with Eric, I do think that even though she is deserving of some vitriol, she's not deserving of misogyny, and
Sure.
all of that stuff is
Agreed.
totally
Agreed.
inappropriate. There's
Yeah.
plenty of valid things to criticize her on, and attacking women is not one of them.
Right. No,
yeah,
I agree.
attack her
And
for all the horrible shit she's done and said, but not.
right. It's the same thing. Like you can dislike a show or a movie for a lot of reasons that don't touch on the things that the internet are shouting about. But
I think I want
ahead,
to say I do think that Eric may yet be vindicated also, because it is a very real possibility that we get some content that has some flashbacks where we find out a lot of things that have happened in the MCU have had Mephisto dealings involved, because it's not too hard to write that in,
Yeah,
especially now that he's
agreed.
He was
established.
always off camera, right?
Yeah.
Right. And
Like
so
we'll go back to the same shots. And he's just
Exactly. I don't necessarily want to give them the credit of like they've planned this the whole time, but he is a
Right.
good character from a writing perspective where you could insert him into a lot of decisions in the post case and be like, oh yeah, actually that was Mephisto, meddling with the details.
Yeah, they're gonna retcon it. I do think that like this reveal to me sort of rivaled the Kang reveal in that like when I first saw that Kang reveal, I was like, what is Jonathan Majors? Jonathan Majors is making a lot of interesting acting choices here, and I'm not sure if I love them on first watch. And then like afterwards, I went back and like rewatched it, and I was like, oh, wait, or is he a genius? Like I can't see where I fell. And I think that like getting an eccentric, big-ish name star in there to play a puppet master that could retroactively have been in control of a lot of things that we didn't know feels very Kangy to me. And I think Marvel is just hoping that, that this actor doesn't go down like the last actor did and all of their plans get jettisoned.
Yeah, I wonder how many times that can happen before you just start to think like, oh, maybe we should recast one of them. But yeah,
Is
I
Kevin
do like
Spacey
the
available?
idea. Both Katie and Eric are familiar with me talking about one of the early viral sensations of the internet, the Bert is Evil website
Yes.
that took Bert from Sesame Street and said, look, here's a picture of him on the grassy knoll. He's the second shooter, and some other wildly inappropriate things. So the idea that Mephisto was just off frame, maybe more like Forrest Gump, so we're going to get to like, wow, he really met everybody. And I'm 100% sure that Mephisto bought Apple stock. So,
It was
obviously.
Mephisto all along. They're going to retcon the song.
Yeah.
And there was the text that I sent to Brody
it's-
after you saw it, which was making, it's like, look, when he said, and a Beatle, we all kind of knew. Then the fact that he actually said Ringo was the part that made me laugh out loud. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Brody?
I'm drawing a blank on the title real quick, but it's like the Rolling Stones song about the devil.
Sympathy
Allow
for
me
the
to
devil?
introduce myself,
Yeah,
right?
the
And he's
devil,
like,
yeah.
I was, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Sympathy for
I was
a
there when
Buffalo.
Kennedy died. I was there. Like,
Yeah.
like he keeps referencing, like, I was there when this happened. I was there when that happened. I could easily say I was there to make that witch in Westfield, yearn for her kids. He can just reference something and make it seem like he was in charge of it, whether they film it or not. He can just reference, it was my idea to film Secret Wars. And you're like, oh, that makes total sense. It was his idea to give some
Secret
woman
Invasion,
every
my
power in the
idea.
Marvel universe. Yes.
He also
I
could
agree
lie
with every
too.
single-
No, don't take
Secret
credit for
Invasion.
that. Don't take credit for that.
That's
What were you
what I meant.
saying?
Did I not say Secret Invasion?
You said
Oh.
Secret Wars. What were you going to say, Nate?
I was just saying he could
Oh, I
lie
meant Secret
too.
Invasion. Yeah, sorry.
We also could get the
The
point of where
devil?
he does say, "Oh, I did all this stuff," and like we don't know if he's telling the truth or not,
he's
and
the most
he's
honest
a
man there
devil.
is.
Of course, he's gonna lie. Like,
Right.
devil
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
lie. That's always the fun of
And
the
I'm sorry,
devil.
by the way, you're talking about a song. As far as I know, that's a Guns N' Roses song. I saw it at the end of Interview with a Vampire.
God.
So that's the song that
how
I
did
know.
you just remind me that exists?
Oh,
What is
you're
wrong
welcome.
with
Have a good
It's not
weekend,
my-
Nate.
Wait a minute. It's not by the cast of Glee?
Well, that's
I would
that's
rather
the
listen to
second most
that.
popular- All right. So we're in this situation, and the reason that I was trying to put off talking about Mephisto is because it does open so many possibilities, and I think that again, we could see what they do with it, and are we going to get sort of that accounting? But we should definitely circle back on Riri and where we might see her again. And Dominique Thorne, I thought, was tremendous in this role. And, I think that, Wakanda Forever was not my favorite Marvel movie. It was not my favorite movie with Black Panther in the title. But I thought she was great. I thought a lot of the casting was great. And I think that they did a great job in her being Riri Williams, who, as most of the audience knows, not particularly familiar with the character before this show, before that movie. So I will ask you first, because I think I haven't asked you first yet on anything. Brody, where do you think we will see Riri next?
I think the Young Avengers-esque project, possibly. I don't think she's established enough to be in Secret Wars or Doomsday. And I think her plot line has to involve Mephisto. I don't think she's on a grand scale. I think her story has to be told granularly. And so I picture her in a smaller Disney Plus show to explore the Mephisto thing, or you may not see her at all, or I just that's my feeling is Disney Plus show. I think there's a storyline there with Mephisto now if they decide to continue it. Remember, this show was filmed 2 years ago.
I think so.
I think it was supposed to come out before Wakanda Forever. So it's been
no.
time.
It was supposed to come out much closer to it. It was supposed to. It was supposed to come out before What If, because they had her in What If, and we're like, what if we knew what was going on?
Right.
But you can finish your thought, Brody. Sorry.
No, so a lot. I mean, she might have appeared in Strange Academy had that been being made. I think now that that's been canceled, does she show up does she show up in Vision Quest because of the magic aspect? And the Vision being tech, maybe there's tech involved with reprogramming Vision and fixing his mind, where she's utilizing that, and then maybe Wanda helps her with magic and fight Mephisto. I could see that making sense.
I like this from Cami Egan. I think she'll pop up in the next Spider-Man movie. You know.
That's my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than agreeing with one of our great chatters, what was it that made you think that Spidey would be a good spot for her, Gina?
I think they've been dropping some hints about like different cameos in Spider-Man and blah blah blah. And I think that, I think Doomsday seems focused on the film actors, especially the film actors who will probably not be making many more appearances in films after this. So I think that, the people hoping for Disney Plus shows or even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cameos are I don't think that they're going to give air to those characters when they need to maybe bring back like Black Widow for one final send-off or something along those lines. I think they'll service their movie actors. But I do think that like Spider-Man and all the legal issues of who can appear in Spider-Man, how long they can appear for. I think, like Frank Castle being in there, I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of the only thing is that she's not in New York, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of a who's who of street level heroes in the next Spider-Man, because they can't bring in the big time movie actors. And I think it'll be enough of a like small cameo, sort of like, Matt Murdock appearing in Spider-Man before her, that, like maybe she'll be there, she'll fly in for help, but she'll be like, oh, we had the same mentor type of thing. We both had the same, we both looked up to Tony Stark. We both looked up to his tech, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, I agree. Young Avengers. Other than that.
What say you, Eric Conner?
Well, in theory, Spider-Man Brand New Day would be a smart choice because Mephisto fit into that storyline in the comic books, even if he didn't in that last film. But legally, I'm not sure. And also, too, she's not quite on the A team just yet. So I think you're right in sort of this logic of like there's all this like funky TV property floating around. And by the way, I do want to remind everyone, I predicted the Doctor Strange spinoff 177B Bleecker Street many, many years ago. And so I'm just sad that like my vision did not come to pass. But I think I could see her popping in potential. I mean, Daredevil would be kind of cool, like to all of a sudden have her pop in. It feels a little bit like trying to shoehorn it in a touch, but Marvel does that,
which has already happened. She's already been shooed into the Wakanda movie.
Wakanda Forever, right?
Yeah.
Which though, although it's funny, I did rewatch that sequence from Wakanda Forever before this, and it was right. Actually, that's a really great set piece. Like them trying to protect her, the Submariner trying to capture her. I mean, I thought that was actually interesting on its own, but in the big picture, didn't make all that much sense. I just hope we see her again. I know it's been a couple years. They ended on such a fascinating note that if she showed up kind of hanging out with Mephisto and Spider-Man, that would blow my mind in so many great ways. But I think logically, Young Avengers-esque title seems like a more sort of, economic fit, so to speak.
Katie, I don't want to put you in a spot where you have to disagree with the great Ivan Soto, but do you doubt we'll ever see her again?
No, absolutely. We'll see her again.
Okay.
We'll absolutely see her again. I feel like we've got too many questions, and especially regarding Natalie and her tangibility and all that kind of stuff. I do think we will see her again. My two predictions are kind of Eric Connerisms, but I predict that we will see Riri in Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Or the more obvious choice, whenever we see Madison again.
It might be a minute before.
You mean every time I close my eyes?
Oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four would be wild.
It would be wild. It would not make sense.
The fact that we would see her in less than a month is crazy.
It would make sense for why they released the episode.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, if nothing else, we might get a glimpse of her or something to do with tech and magic and crossing universes.
Or maybe Mephisto.
Yeah, right. Mephisto could actually be, then that would make, I guess she could technically be like the herald of Mephisto, like, like the Silver Surfer being the Herald of Galactus. Before you, whatever that thought was, Brody, Nate, is there something that we haven't said that might make the most sense?
Yep.
I feel like we might see her somewhere soon, but then also I think that she would actually turn up in at least one of the Avengers movies, but I think we would see her again before that. But what are your thoughts on the future for Riri Williams?
I mean, she's kind of an interesting character from the like meta production perspective, because like she was introduced in a film but had her own series, which gave her obviously more screen time and more development. And there seems to be this weird thing of where they don't do too much of the TV stuff in the movies. They don't expect people to have seen the shows. So I like the idea of her showing up in Spider-Man. I think that could definitely make a lot of sense, especially if they, we all know Mephisto and Spider-Man have a history in the comic books, and there is definitely like, they haven't explored much of the magical element in the Spider-Man capacity like at all. So that could be very cool. But I do think it's more likely it will be some type of Young Avengers, some type of young team thing that will be a show or something. I'm really hoping with Zelma, and I think the positive reception I've seen of just that character specifically, that they try to bring, perpetually postpone the Strange Academy show. I think that could be cool. Like, I think with Agatha, them exploring more of the magical universe of Marvel is fresh and feels different than a lot of the same stuff we've seen. And so allowing like a kind of tech character to expand further into this magical world, I think would be really interesting. So I would love to see her in that. I think worst case scenario, we don't see her at all until like Secret Wars, and whatever giant retconning event happens in Secret Wars, she comes in the end and is like established as part of the new MCU standard heroes or something. That would be my long shot guess. But
right, where all of the X-Men start to actually look like different characters, and it's like, no, X-23 is Wolverine. There's all the things that that could happen at that point. Kemi Egan, this was something that we touched on a moment ago. Marvel is separating TV from the movies going forward so they don't connect but reference each other in projects. Correct. So that's a question. I feel like they don't want you to have to see the movies. I'm sorry, they don't want you to have to see the TV to understand the movies, but it's always going to help,
Mm-hmm.
So like whenever Mephisto shows up in a movie, you're not going to be lost if you didn't see him on the show. But those of us who did see it and go like, oh yeah, he's doing his thing again. Is he going to talk about how he took Keith Richards' soul as well, which would really explain a lot, by the way. So I don't know. Is that a little bit more of an accurate representation? I'll ask Gina, because you look like you're on a news set as opposed to the rest of us.
Yeah, I have like a little bit of insider information about this, just, being a TV writer who sometimes has meetings at Marvel. And the answer is that like their mandates change from month to month. So like 1 month, whoever is giving those mandates is like, like standalone projects, like TV, like we don't want to. And then like the next month it is very much like, ooh, let's like weave it in, like let's build a world. I do think that right now they realize that they have sort of a juggernaut of like too much content for people to watch a movie and know who 100%, but they have to balance that out with like a little bit of fan service, people being like, when's Quake gonna show up? Like, where is she? Is she gonna show up in Doomsday? And it's like, you could realistically have Quake in the background of an on your left situation, and like me and the other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. nerds will be like, she appeared on screen for 2 seconds. But yeah, like I think there isn't an explicit mandate to not connect them. And a lot of it does unfortunately have to do with like reception to the shows. Like if the show ends up being hugely popular and people still want to see Daredevil and things, and they're going to be like, hey, can we throw Daredevil into Spider-Man? Hey, can we throw Daredevil into this? And if it's a secret invasion situation, they're going to be like, never ever mention Maria Hill's name again.
Yeah, or Scrolls. Scrolls just don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, we don't have any more Scrolls. Yeah, no, I think that
Samuel L. Jackson for that matter. I think like
they really should have made that alternate universe and just written it off as an alternate universe, alternate timeline, and just kill it.
Well,
That's the problem, right? Is we get this weird dichotomy of like they're adapting comic book stories and comic book characters, but in a medium that is not comic books, it's not consumed like comic books. And like the thing with a comic book is you can have a crossover story that has a character you're like, I have no idea who this character is. And in the little box, they're like, oh, you want to know more about this? Read this issue or this arc or whatever. And then you go back and you read it. But TV movie viewers are not like,
you know,
some of the diehard people will be like, yeah, I need to watch everything. But a large majority of the audience is just going to go see the big tentpole films. And they're not going to want to go like, last time I saw Riri was in Wakanda Forever. Why does she have like devil magic powers now? Like, and they're going to be like, well, she had a show you can go watch. It's a 6-episode limited series. It's not that huge of a buy-in, but people are still going to be like, I don't have time for that.
We'll wait. We'll pause.
There's a couple of YouTubers that do a great job of posting all you need to know before you go to this movie.
Oh, I think you're talking about me. Yes, I do those recaps before all the movies. And you reminded me I have to do my Fantastic Four.
In addition to Christian.
By the way, I'm sorry. You said Juggernaut, and now it's been 2 minutes. I was way too slow on this. But if you say Juggernaut, I'm going to show him on the screen.
Marco.
He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so I'm surprised that Marvel doesn't do that. Like Marvel could put out a 20-minute, 15-minute show that you could watch to get ready for Thunderbolts. Instead, rather than having YouTubers do it, where you may or may not find it, or the average fan going to the movies doesn't know to go on YouTube and look for great creators that do that.
Disney Plus has that, right? Don't they have the?
Yeah, they have those recaps and things sometimes, and it's great that Brody froze when he's making.
He just got drone striked by all of the YouTube content creators.
He literally looks like he's kissing ass right here.
Making that content.
Daniel Drew does make this point. A worst scenario was realized when Captain America, when Sam repeated his character development from the show in the movie, and I think that they did a good enough job where it didn't contradict it, because that's the trouble that you run into sometimes is like, oh, that thing you saw in the movie. I mean, the thing you saw on TV, it only kind of happened. But I know what you're saying. We don't want it to be repetitive for those of us who do watch everything.
Yeah, just pick up the Shield already. Stop whining. That was my.
Well, no, I mean, look, with Falcon and Winter Soldier, they did it in the way of like, I remember at the end of Endgame when he got the Shield. Well, then there's this whole show, and then he's got the Shield at the end. So they did it right in that respect. And I don't know if Brody can see us, but he's like in the background in the waiting room, as they say, but his camera's not showing it. So I feel like if I had to guess. You know what I'm saying, Gina? It must be raining in New Jersey, and all of a sudden his Wi-Fi is not working. And Kevin Egan might be onto something. Brody made a deal with Mephisto.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And Ivan, yes, I couldn't grab the terminology. The Marvel Legends on Disney Plus, they will do those sometimes. They'll give you those recaps. And obviously the deal with the devil was successful because now Brody is back and we can see him.
Oh, again. Brody, you should have held out for a better deal.
I got a little pizza on my face.
I was going to say, what kind of pizza was it?
It was New York pizza, or as I like to call it, pizza.
Yeah. No, I just to not to belabor this point too much, but the previously on for the Obi-Wan series, they showed footage from the prequels before the show started. So yes, I think that Daniel goes on that they could do that for Marvel, cut down edited version. Yeah, but I think don't just put it in the recap before the show. Do like a special of somewhere between 8 and 30 minutes. How much time do you want to put in there? And just be like, oh yeah, before that, go ahead and watch this. Because look, I was telling Katie before we started, I was a guest on a podcast last night about Squid Game. And I remember seasons 2 and 3, but I was like, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff about season 1. I could have used a recap on that. And then it turned out there was one. So you just have to look for it sometimes. And it's not always there, but sometimes that's what we need. Before we wind down and move on to the rest of our days, and I'll let everybody in the chat know where you might be able to see some of us coming up. Eric, you always do such a good job sending so many images my way, and the majority of the time I never share them. But we've what do you want to say about Zeke Stain here?
A little beefcake shot. For
Oh,
those
yeah.
I
who
was
need
really
their
hoping that
solo
wasn't why you
solo.
sent this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes back to I really appreciate what Solo did with this role because like he managed to make himself he's a very handsome lad, as you can see here. He obviously goes to the same trainer I do. And in barber. And he basically like I thought he actually played the corners of this character well. And I've expressed my how underwhelmed I was, let's say, by Anthony Ramos. I don't think he really filled out that hood all that well. But here, this guy, the fact he's coming back, I think like that's an interesting character that I don't know if he's quite big screen level, but as a small screen antagonist, I think he's pretty well set up. So I do hope we see more of him. And I also love that he just sort of gave his body over indirectly to Mephisto, right? It's like I just take all of me and do with it as you will. And I thought the stuff with him trying to fight back and he couldn't even control himself, I thought that was actually kind of good. I could have played out a little bit more, and I thought his wrap up was a little fast. But
Right.
if they brought him back, I wouldn't kick him out of bed.
What?
They
Say the
literally
soft part
said,
loud.
yeah. He literally said to her, "We're not done here. Like
We're not
we're
done.
not finished with our business."
I've got all this hate. I don't know what to do with it.
And look, the easy thing, and of course the funny thing to do, is to call him Solo. I don't know what the problem is that none of you can remember Alden Einreich is his name, because it just rolls right off the tongue. Like Anthony Ramos, that's an easy name to remember. But yeah, so I do think, and that was why I wanted to make sure that I circled back to this, because we didn't talk that much about him in this part. We talked about him in the first few episodes. And yes, I think it'll be very interesting to see more of him. And by the way, I always thought Eric Andre was going to come back because they kept showing us him. And I just was like, all right, there's going to be something, because they would show him in the recap. And you know, that's the thing where you're like, well, they have to pay him because he's in the recap. So usually that only happens when they're in the episode. And it's like, nope, he's just in the recap.
Also,
Did
like a
anybody
weirdly huge. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say a weirdly like big star to cast in a show like this for essentially like 3 minutes worth of screen time and dialogue.
Plus an
Yeah, but
off-screen death.
do you think Riri used her wish with Mephisto to bring him back also? Hey, that guy I saw on Discord once, bring him back too. What the hell? If I'm giving up my soul.
There
But
has
he's
to
not put
be
back
like
together. He's just like a bag of parts right now.
Go ahead, Nate.
there has to be like some cut footage, right? Like there has to be,
Yeah.
because I mean, especially if they shot this in 2023 and now you're delivering us with 6 episodes, like I don't see it as much as like Daredevil, where you can see kind of like the cuts and the changes and stuff that happened.
Yeah.
But in this, I'm like, there had to be like, if the one biggest clue is the constant joking about Rampage. I was waiting for that him calling himself Rampage, that joke to pay off. That never really happened. Like if there's little spots, but that Eric Andre is the biggest one to me that says like there was like, even if it's just like 15 minutes, there definitely was more to that character or plot line that just, you know, ended up on the cutting room floor.
Right. Like
agreed.
if there was like a 7th episode where he would have been in like half of it, I agree. And I do need to, of course, talk about the real hero of this show, the kid in the wagon. Who's,
Wagon boy.
yeah.
My boy.
Unfortunately, I forget his name, but he's a fantastic character. And, you know, the Madison of this series, in a sense of, we didn't know what we had facing us when we saw him right there.
Well, he spells wagon with 2 N's, but the second N is not where you think it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Christian, do you have the photo I put up right after that one by any chance? Because he gave me vibes of another legendary character.
Was he shirtless, Eric, in that picture?
No. So you talk about things that are postage size. So it's the kid from Better Off Dead asking for $2. Is that,
And so the idea that he's just the kid's going to keep showing up looking for his money, and honestly, that to me is a very nice comic book touch. I feel like in comic books, you always get those little side supporting characters who show up just for a button on the scene. And so I at one point I'm like, oh, come on. But then I'm like, you know what? I like him. I don't know if next time he'll be back, he'll be like 15
Yeah,
be a little bit
it'd be
taller. but-
unrecognizable.
I
No,
saw
it'll
he
be
could be the next
charcuterie.
Black Panther. So
he'll be in somebody's funeral scene, and we'll not
right,
remember
right.
who he is.
Who
We'll
is
gotta-
that? Yeah, it's like a you know, after like 3 years on Lost, like Walt shows up again, and you're like, what? Who's this? Oh, I guess it's Walt.
Who's this grown man?
Yeah, and one of the comic booky things that I liked as it continued through all 6 episodes, we did talk about this in our previous episode, is getting the title of the book, you know, the title of the show in sort of a comic booky way, different representations, which I would always enjoy that when, you know, the splash page with the title of the issue would have that. So I think that there was a lot of fun things about this. It leads me with so many questions about, you know, okay, what's next? And yeah, Mephisto in Brand New Day makes a lot of sense. You wonder if that is going to be what he does, you know. So I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to guess on that because to me, Brand New Day never happened, and Peter and Mary Jane were always married. I follow the continuity of the daily comic book strip, the one that's in the newspapers. I don't know what happened in the actual comics. I like the one that Stan Lee and his brother Larry Lieber did. That's the one I
No,
like.
I follow the Electric Company version. That's the only canon for me.
nice.
That's yeah. Everything else is hashtag not my Spider-Man. It's only the one from the Electric Company.
Do you think if Mephisto offers Spider-Man the chance to get MJ back in his life, that he would not shake? I would imagine he
Which
would not
one?
shake Mephisto's hand. The Zendaya,
Oh,
because she doesn't know who he is. Like the everybody, all his friends are gone. That's a Mephisto kind of offer. Like, I can give you back your life.
I think it would
and
be.
your friends.
Do you want Aunt May to be alive, or
do you
yeah.
want to be free
Yeah.
from the Sony contract? Maybe Mephisto gets him away from Sony Pictures.
You want me to kill Craven?
I'd rather be in a deal with you than
Madam
Sony.
Web.
I'll sign right here.
Yeah, that might have to happen on one of the shows.
They just make him watch Madam Web till he gives up.
Yeah. This is an interesting thought from Daniel Drew. I want to see more of how Riri's community saw her and reacted to her. It was nice to see bits of that. I mean, obviously, you know, everybody knew her who was friends with her mom, but yeah, there was definitely a neighborhood feel. And as I pointed out last week, they found all the parts of Atlanta that look at least a little bit like Chicago. So I think that they did some nice work on that.
They did a great job in
Questionable
like the
Green
first
Street.
3 episodes.
Yeah.
They did a great job in the first 3 episodes of like kind of showing the city as like a personality with like the characters and stuff. I think in the last 3 it doesn't come through as much, but the like garage building scene I thought was really good. It was nice to see the characters come together and like form around Riri and kind of like uplift her. It was like just borderline on the edge of like Disney campy cringe, but it didn't cross over and it made me feel good, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Well, I did have one question though,
Go ahead.
because when Mom said you've got to fight them, I don't know. I was like, okay, like I'm trying to raise my sons to be reasonably brave, not above and beyond brave, but reasonably. But that might have been when, if I knew what was going on, I might have said, okay, yeah, no, Burbank's been good to us, but it's time to move on. Like I was a little surprised. What did you guys take from that? Was Mom's advice kind of, I don't know, terrible?
Well, I also feel like Mom's involvement was very stereotypical, like Stranger Things or any mom that's a part of like some kind of universe. It's not any like Miss Marvel mom, that's for sure, because she's way more involved. But it felt kind of par for the course for like a comic book hero's mom just to be like, yeah, sure, now I get it. Let's fight the demons. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts. Feel free to jump in, but yeah, I think
I don't have
that,
kids.
yeah. Well, no, but mom figures in shows, there's a few different ways to go, and Katie, you kind of nail it because you know, Kamala Khan's mom in Ms. Marvel is the other kind of mom. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's the way too involved as it seems, and now.
Oh
no.
no.
No,
They
I
got
think
Christian.
they yeah. Well, you know, I guess I signed my contract in ink and not blood, but it's fine because I think that we've covered as much Ironheart as we can do here. And Brody, you look like you had something.
Just
yes, sir.
One last thing. I referenced something in our last episode when we talked about episodes 1, 2, 3. And after seeing the 6 episodes, I get it now. Wakanda let Winter Soldier keep the arm, and Wakanda let Captain America keep the uniform,
shield,
the wings and everything, right? But Wakanda told Riri to give back the suit.
Yep.
And now it makes complete sense why they didn't trust her. She's leaving Han Solo's tech laying around. She can't be trusted. So
okay,
I get now why everyone else kept the tech, because originally, well, she can't have the tech because it's a property of Wakanda. If that gets out, I'm like, wait a minute, everybody else got to keep the tech. So I guess they saw the same thing that we now see: is she's not trustworthy. Mephisto would have the Wakanda tech. So
maybe they were just like, she's just a kid. Go ahead, Nate.
The other 2 people have like 15 plus years also on her, and like a history of combat experience and direct interaction with different governments and militaries. So I think
that it's quite a few years.
yeah.
But they also killed a lot of people. I mean,
Bucky was
before.
He was a bad person.
He's been baptized.
I'll just admit, listen, if I had an entire Iron Man suit that Wakanda made for me, I would definitely leave it in the trunk of a taxi at some point. So they know who they should trust and who not to.
And why didn't MIT ever come after her for stealing the suit? They told her she can't take.
That one she does say, like, it's my property. It's my.
I bet she built it off of her own money making.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why she was like selling all those students their things so that she could like afford those.
Or they only had Jim Rash for 1 episode, and that was it. So that it could be that. In any case, I want to thank everybody in the chat. We had a very lively chat. I brought you guys in as much as I could, but we have always have some plate spinning in here. I want to make sure everybody promotes everything they have going on, but I want to let you know first that those of you watching live, a mere 15 minutes from now, over on my channel, the Blackcast, you will see myself, David Brody, and Eric Conner, and my pal Will Sterling will be talking about the new Superman film, the James Gunn Superman. So that is Blackcast episode 650. You'll find that over there, BLADTCAST, and I know some of you are watching it on that channel right now. But for the rest of you, you will see that over there. But Brody, maybe people want to know beyond like an hour from now where they'll see you. Where else can they find you?
Well, find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and anywhere Christian invites me on, I'll be. So that's it.
All right.
Well, that's Marvel Movie Talk, Marvel Book Club, but mostly here, and social media at David Brody with a Y.
And Katie Hampton.
You can always find me around Geekscape, Internet Supreme Court every Thursday. You can also catch me at Comic-Con. I will be in and around Comic-Con in the next couple of weeks. Very excited to go hang out with everybody and do some interviews. And if there's something particular you want to see, like behind the scenes stuff of her universe, hey, we're gonna help get that done. So find me at El Sassy Pants.
Let's make sure that you and I both get a picture with Daniel Drew this time.
Yes,
we'll coordinate with him. It was just he and I last year. Gina Ippolito, where can you be found?
I can be found pretty much on every social media that exists at Gina Ippy, and then New Rockstar stuff, Break Room stuff, which is also part of New Rockstars. We'll be doing a Superman Twitch live stream and on YouTube today for the Break Room. So that's at 2 p.m. if anyone feels like tuning in and seeing what we thought of Superman.
Well, my show will be done by that, so I can endorse people checking yours out. And if you follow Gina on social media, there's some wild ideas in your head about the Fraggles, but we'll save that for another time. Eric,
down to Fraggle Rock.
Where can you be found, Eric?
Well, my lights are not as cool as Nate's, but you could see me and occasionally my lantern walking around the streets of Burbank.
I'll give you some lights, Eric.
Yeah, really? Please?
Yeah.
The Loki sauce still in my intestines somewhere. But yeah, Count Eric Conner on the socials. I've done some interviews recently for Film Courage. And also Burbank Film Festival is going to be coming up in a bit. And Holly Shorts, and I'm doing some panels at both of those. So come find me somewhere.
And Nate, I typically know you prefer not to be found, but I always want to give you the opportunity if people do
I
want to
try.
continue the
I
conversation.
try not to be found, and I
Yeah.
just they keep finding me. But if you insist on finding me, I am everywhere on the internet at Dog Like Nate. I do have some Magic the Gathering live plays coming up soon, but I don't have any time of when that's going to be released to promote them, so you'll hear about that later.
You could
Well,
check him out on Dropout.
If you have a Dropout subscription and you watch the show Game Changer, you may see me appear in an episode.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like an enticement for people to get the subscription. And here's my hope, Nate, that you'll know when the Magic the Gathering gameplay is happening by the time we're talking about Fantastic Four. It's only a few weeks away, but if not, we'll keep telling people to just keep looking for it. As always, I'm at Christian DMZ. I did mention a moment ago my personal podcast, The Blackcast, BLADTCAST, and you'll see us talking Superman there momentarily. And the show that I always forget to promote is the one that actually makes me money. 100 Songs That Define Heavy Metal. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. I'm not on it. I produce it. It's hosted by Brian Slagle, who founded Metal Blade Records 40 plus years ago. He literally knows everyone in heavy metal. Our next episode will have Chris Jericho on it. So check
Oh.
that
What
out.
number of song are you on?
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. It's not a countdown list. He's got his 100. And when we get to like the last 20, I think he's going to actually rank it. But the problem there is I think we've already done one in the top 10. So it's a lot of like, he calls Kerry King from Slayer and is like, what song do you want to talk about? So it's kind of, it makes it a little tougher. But good question. But so you can jump in any episode. You can scroll and be like, oh my gosh, they have an Alice in Chains song on here. Let's check that out. Wow, there's 2 Blue Oyster Cult songs. All right, I want to hear that. So you can find that wherever you find podcasts. But
Christian, I'm sorry, Fozzy has a song on the top 100 list.
No, he's a huge Iron Maiden fan, and they talk about the Iron Maiden song.
Not saying they don't deserve it, but
Fozzy do not have a song in the top.
Fozzy, the greatest bear of all time. Is that who we're talking about?
No,
yes,
no, yes. You know what? For the sake of ending the show, yes. Waka waka. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and everybody in the chat. And we will see you very soon talking about Fantastic Four. But until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!